Hope you had a happy holiday after the win yesterday. I wanted to talk about shins. So, Jaylen Waddle's shin injury, there was a report today that he was going to have it further examined. Did the information suggest that he might miss a game or more? And with Raheem, he told reporters yesterday that a shin caused him to leave the game. Obviously, he came back. Did you not play him more in the second half because he reported to you some discomfort or lack of mobility, or because trainers told you it might not be a good idea to use them a lot in the second half?
The shin gate. Yeah, no one. I passed out shin guards before the game. No one wore them. So that we were addressing the information given back to us by the player with Waddle, and the as of today, it seems to be more of a high ankle that we're going to have to get some more information on because we know those can be tricky. So that will be pending some more information, but it looks to be a high ankle. Raheem, he was yeah, it wasn't really necessarily that, that's the relationship that E and I have, Eric Stootsville and myself. We are because we have so many tough-minded, tough players on the team, we've become kind of like body language readers. Raheem wanted to go in the game. He was had nothing to do with that. It was more that we could tell that it was pretty painful in the time. So we had, that's what, to the credit of the room, we have so much confidence in that room and all the different guys that you kind of are able to ride the momentum. I think it was a, just really the disposition Jeff Wilson had the entire game, and being a Texas boy, it kind of made sense, but it wasn't because he was unable or that he was saying that he couldn't go. It was quite the opposite. Just kind of a relationship, professional kind of read into what was going on, and thought that gave us the best chance in those particular moments.
Thanks, Mike.
Adam.
Hey, Mike, Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
I wanted to ask a follow-up on Waddle. He seems to have had a pretty rough go of it this year. It seems like every other week or maybe every week he's had something. Given the fact that he's fought through so many injuries, do you have a higher optimism that this won't be something that'll keep him out long term?
Yeah, no, I do. And I also he's a really, really tough player. So and he's, like you said, he's battled through several things this year, which has made him even more eager, just as a playmaker to kind of make up for that with his play. So yeah, it does give me optimism because of the individual and because of what he has gone through for sure. He's had several things that have been real that other players might take him longer, especially at that position, might take him longer to come back from. So I do have a lot of confidence in him for that type of thing.
Thank you.
David.
Hey, Mike, Merry Christmas.
Hey, that's what your hand looks like. Your raised hand.
Oh, yeah, there it is. All right, with Austin Jackson yesterday, was he just available in the event of an emergency, but just wasn't ready to start, play a full 60 minutes? Was that why you went with Kendall Lamb at right tackle?
That's exactly why. He was a warrior to even be able to dress. And, just we kind of knew it was going to go down to the wire, which it did in the course of the week. And we felt like that he could strain through, some ball, but to be able to go through the whole game, we thought that was unfair. So we have so much confidence in Kendall. It was definitely the most appropriate thing to do with regard to where he was at. That being said, I am very, very optimistic for him for this week.
And I also wanted to ask you about what's coming up. A lot will be on the line in Baltimore this week. I know you treat every week the same, even against the teams perceived by us to be lesser opponents, perceived by us on the outside in the media. But does it help that this win against Dallas immediately precedes the one you're about to go into?
Yeah, well, I think the whole season in its entirety helps. I think that each team has to learn lessons, and a lot of times you learn lessons the hard way. And I think that the the bottom line is there's a purpose with approaching each and every week with the utmost regard, and that's because down the stretch of the season, when you get to games like this, in playoff games, that you're going to have that it's going to feel a certain way, that you're going to be all in. So you don't want it to be uh, all of a sudden we turn up and now we're going to try. You try to train that. You try to train how you're going to approach into the season games early in the season. Henceforth, every game is the same to me in that way. The closer that your team can get to that, the less the less stressors that are imposed upon you in a week where you're playing a team that has currently they have 11 wins right now, and I think that it's exactly what you want. You want to be playing the best football teams in December and January. You want to go toe to toe with them, and you want to earn victories. And so to do that, we're very fortunate to have the opportunity to play the Baltimore Ravens this week. I think it does fit. I think that this past week does help the team just in general because you're finding out about yourself, deep down that you're capable of beating any team, but it doesn't hurt to be able to find a way to win against a team that was equally as desperate or whatever. That game meant a lot to both teams. So whenever you win games like that, it helps for ultimately what you're trying to do.
Thank you.
Mark?
Merry Christmas, Coach.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
Just wanted to touch on Deshaun Elliott's his touchdown altering tackle. Can you just touch on his development from week 1 to this point in the season, and just what are your thoughts as far as just this totality of the season so far?
So it's a really cool thing that he's experienced starting in a new system. He had elements of the system in his career, but to find comfort and then become a guy that we really rely on to make plays. It's been a really cool journey to watch him evolve in this defense. I thought, something. I thought it was really cool, that play he made. It reminded me of in Jacksonville preseason, Javon Holland had a forced fumble right at the goal line, and in this defensive system, our system is built to make it really hard on offenses, and when you're taking advantage of every single yard on the field and making them earn every inch, you never know what's going to happen. So I think that it was such a cool play that he made, because the next play we were able to get the ball back. None of that happens if he's not straining. He's in a rough position at the point of attack and goes above and beyond, and it just shows what why coach speak is what it is, why we emphasize every single play. And you have no idea, that was a converted first down. And to a lot of people, maybe you don't do that, or fiercely go through a blocker to try to make a play on the ball. And, because, okay, they already got the first down, 1st and goal. What does that mean? Well, they have to earn everything. So I think it speaks to that. It speaks to our philosophy in general. And then just to watch guys have high expectations going into the season, specifically on the defensive side of the ball, and everything not work out immediately, and to see their game progress over the course of the season. It's everything you want, everything that's satisfying in coaching. I think you've seen that immensely, especially in this last portion of the year. Both defense and special teams has found a way to really impact the game and take it over in a certain degree when the teams needed it. So it's been really cool to watch guys develop, in our systems, and it's kind of what coaching's about.
Alan?
Hi, Mike. Merry Christmas, not only to you, but to everybody on the Zoom.
There we go.
That's the spirit, right?
That a way to throw everybody that went before you under the bus.
Okay.
Barry, you don't
All
care.
right. I wanted to ask you about Tyreek. He wound up playing his 2nd most snaps of the season, and that came with Robbie being knocked out of the game, Jaylen's issues. So I'm curious as to whether he came into the game on a pitch count and that got elevated because of the injury issues, or whether there was no limits to begin with. And also, how did he come out of the game with the ankle?
No, it's part of the reason. That's a great example of why we, make those tough calls sometimes. Have a game day workout because you can't. There's residual effects to when people go down, and he was ready to go. We definitely didn't plan on playing him that much, but it was also very hard to get him off the field in a competitive game like that, which speaks to him as a competitor. But that's why we do what we do, why we make the tough decisions sometimes that on the surface, it's just like we are first and foremost, we'll always protect the players from themselves, but we also have to protect the other players and make sure that guys, if they're able to go, can handle any unforeseen situations, because we didn't go into the game thinking we're going to lose both Chosen and Waddle, but that very well could happen any game. So the guys you have up generally have to be able to go. If they can't, you just have to be very aware of the potential residual. So I was just happy that Tyreek had put in so much time. Like, that's the one for a captain to be able to step that up and like you said, play the 2nd most snaps he has all season coming off an injury. What that means is he was all in trying to play for the last 2 weeks and doing everything. I mean, he's been living in the training room. He might, and that's what you need from captains. That's what you need from your star players. If you're trying to do anything in December, this is an accumulation of a lot of reps for all teams, all players involved. And when everything's on the line, for him to come through that way with the stuff you guys saw, but then all the stuff that you didn't see, where he's been spending multiple hours every single day trying to get his body right. We're all very fortunate that he did that, because he was able to have an impact on the game, even when he wasn't touching the ball.
Daniel?
Hey, Mike, Merry Christmas.
Hey, man,
I wanted to ask, earlier in the 1st quarter of the game, of yesterday's game, when CeeDee Lamb got off to a hot start, a lot was made about the decision to not shadow him with either X or Jaylen. It didn't seem like you guys did that, for the final 3 quarters of the game. So I was curious, from reviewing the tape, what stood out to you about kind of being able to limit him?
Well, I think it's a team involvement. Now it's really easy to say, just shadow somebody with somebody that also has residuals Part of one of the strengths of our defensive system is that at the snap, the quarterback has very minimal intel as to what's about to happen, and that in conjunction with our pass rush is really what has made our pass defense go. And when you do shadow, you do there is the gain, but it does adjust your entire toolbox, and it's one of the reasons why you know Vic is so elite as a defensive coordinator, is because he has complete ownership of his system that he created, and understands all the pros and cons to everything. There's a lot of things that come into play with where, on each individual play, there's a defensive player that we like to say has the hard down, and there you have help certain places, and there's certain times that your defensive game plan allows for you to have more help in the slot than outside, and vice versa. So that we have a bunch of tools. We haven't really displayed all of them up until this point, but it's not as simple as, and a lot of times you have to factor in a ton of stuff when you're trying to come up with a plan, including does the quarterback flourish when pre-snap he knows exactly what the coverage is. Those things factor in into our decision making, and will continue to as we progress through the season.
We'll take two more questions, Hal and then Adam. Go ahead, Hal.
Hey, Mike. Just to be different, I'll wish you a Mela Kaliki Maka, inspired
Thank
by
you.
the quarterback.
God, I was gonna flip this laptop over if I didn't receive that type of welcome and embrace. I appreciate it, Hal.
I wanted to ask you a little bit more on something you touched on earlier. It seems like every game, win or lose, you're always looking to see what your team can learn from that game to build upon moving forward. Yesterday, you gave up a score in the fourth quarter. You came back and you made it work. You scored the go-ahead points with no time left on the clock. What do you think your team learned from that experience that's going to help you in December, January, moving forward?
I think that that's very much how I look at things. That's very much how I'll approach the review of this game with the team, because I do think that's the hard thing about the NFL, that if you're able to accomplish, you can really develop your team in the course of a season. In this particular game, I think I saw it was entertaining to me because there was 3 phases that were trying to win the game, that thought that it was their game to win. And that type of mindset is everything you want. However, you don't want to feel like a phase feels as though they have to win the game. And so you can learn about, so much to do with, like there's times in football where you can have the perfect defensive call. You can have the perfect technique by defensive players, and guys can make plays. And so you're coaching towards that. And hey, if guys make an incredible play, we have plenty of players in all 3 phases that can take advantage of their opportunities. So to be in a game like that very much had the exact feel that you feel in playoff football, where there's a lot on the line, and guys desperately wanted to win it. You can kind of have an aura of confidence, understanding that if all we want is your maximum effort and maximum attention and maximum preparation. And then if we're unable to win the game one way, we have a team that can win games in a multitude of fashions. There's been, I think the first 2 wins of the season, the on the road, the defense was out there when we won the game. There's been so I think those types of lessons are invaluable for a team. The further along you go in the season, listen, everybody is invested. Every week, you inherently you're going to have more investment collectively because it's just another week of investment into the ultimate goal. As all that accumulates, you want guys to be confident that when push comes to shove and we have a lot on the line, we'll find a way to win the game and in a multitude of fashions, and to end the game that way is things that playoff teams do that win playoff games, and that's ultimately what you're trying to strive for and build towards, because and you're capable of doing that if you put your maximum attention and all of your attention on the only thing that matters, which is the opponent, that prep that day, and then ultimately that opponent that game.
Thanks.
Last question, Adam.
Mike, Hard Knocks has given us a chance to see, your good moments, your not so great moments, and we saw you in Tennessee talking about how, hey, we might now have to go on the road to do what we want to do. Fast forward 2 weeks, and that isn't necessarily true anymore. If you win out, you're the number 1 seed and you have home field. Is that a message that you take to the team this week? Is that, since it's so close and so tangible, is that something that we even talk about, or is it still all about Baltimore?
Yeah, I think it has to be about Baltimore. I think that the NFL does a great job of teaching this lesson if you're willing to watch and listen, and there is no, I don't know the stats behind it, but I'm willing to bet the plain odds, if you're trying to get rich quick, just go to December football and bet against spreads, because what happens is there's a lot of distractions, a ton of distractions, and every single week you have teams that lose to people that they should beat or whatever, because you do not for a second take your attention away from the team you're playing. If you do that, if you start thinking, okay, well, if we do this, and even thinking about 2 weeks short changes the opponent, and you shortchange an opponent that has been playing together all season, has a ton of stuff to play for, and even teams that aren't even in the playoff mix, they know how many games they have left, and they will teach lessons, and you can either get in front of that and prepare as it's a 1-game season, as we will do this week, or you can find out that lesson the hard way, utilizing hindsight and then applying it for the next game. So I think we have learned a multitude of lessons this year, one of which is our formula is like as simple as, today is Wednesday, we are going to go over first and second down for the Baltimore Ravens, and we're going to go over punt and kickoff and master those for the opponent and nothing else. That is it's something that, since I've been in the league, has always been pervasive, and I think that for us to do what we want to do, nothing matters besides the Baltimore Ravens, and trying to, it's a awesome test for us. They're a phenomenal team. They're playing tonight, and I'm anticipating they give, it's a tremendous game, And, you know, our job is to get ready for Baltimore, and I could care less about any scenario at all. Like it literally matters nothing to me. At this point, it's we're in a situation where everything is helping us and leading us to ultimately what I think where our focus needs to be, which is this one opponent, which will deserve all of our attention.